I told you that some of the most fascinating cities in America aren't on any map that you've ever seen? Most of us spend our lives walking, driving, and living on the surface, completely oblivious to the fact that right beneath our feet, there are entire worlds carved into the earth. We're talking about forgotten Victorian streets, high-tech billionaire bunkers, and even a subterranean garden that spans blocks. These aren't just legends, they are real, physical places with incredible stories. Today we're going deep. Literally, we're counting down the 10 hidden underground cities in America that you never knew existed. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at a sidewalk the same way again. Imagine walking into a modern gift shop in Seattle only to realize that the basement is actually the original front door of a building from the 1800s. In 1889, the Great Seattle Fire leveled 31 blocks of the city. When it came time to rebuild, the city planners faced a massive problem. The original city was built on soggy tidelands, meaning it flooded constantly with, believe it or not, sewage. Their solution was pretty radical. They built massive retaining walls and raised the street level by as much as 22 feet. For a while, citizens had to use ladders to get from the new street down to the old storefronts. Eventually, they paved over the gaps, creating a ceiling for the old city. Walking through here today, you can see the original brickwork, Victorian-era glass skylights embedded in the modern sidewalks above, and even old bathtubs and furniture left behind when the area was condemned in 1907 due to the bubonic plague fears. It sat empty for decades until a local historian began tours in the 1960s. It's a literal time capsule of a frontier town frozen in mud and brick. Beneath the trendy bars of Portland lies a dark labyrinth where, for nearly 100 years, a man could go in for a drink and wake up miles out at sea as a slave. These tunnels, officially known as the Old Town Chinatown Tunnels, connected the basements of many hotels and taverns to the Willamette River. While they were built for moving goods from ships to avoid street traffic, they became the epicenter of Shanghaiing. This was the practice of kidnapping men to serve as sailors. Unsuspecting victims would be dropped through deadfalls, trapdoors built directly into the floor of saloons. Once they fell through, they were held in cramped wooden cells in the tunnels, drugged or beaten, and then moved through the dark passages directly onto waiting ships. These men wouldn't see the sun again until they were far out in the Pacific Ocean. Today, you can see the remnants of the holding cells and the trapdoor mechanisms that facilitated this terrifying underground trade. For over 30 years, one of the most famous luxury resorts in America was hiding a 112,000 square foot secret designed to save the US government from the end of the world. During the height of the Cold War, the Eisenhower administration made a secret deal with the Greenbrier resort. Under the guise of building a new wing for the hotel, they excavated a massive bunker 720 feet into the hillside. Codenamed Project Greek Island, it was designed to house the entire US Congress in the event of a nuclear strike. It featured a giant reinforced door that could withstand a blast, a self-contained power plant, a medical clinic with an operating room, and enough bunk beds for 1,100 people. It even had a television studio to broadcast messages to any survivors. The craziest part? The hotel staff had no idea. The people maintaining the bunker posed as TV technicians for a fake company, and the secret was only revealed in 1992 by a Washington Post expose, leading to the facility's decommissioning. You might think the only thing under Manhattan is the subway, but beneath a quiet cathedral in Little Italy, the elite of Old New York are still waiting in the dark. Located beneath the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, these are the only catacombs in Manhattan. Unlike the mass graves of Paris, these are walled catacombs featuring private family vaults. This is where the real-life gangs of New York era figures, wealthy bankers, and Civil War generals are interred. The catacombs are usually off-limits to the public, lit only by candlelight during special tours. It's a silent, eerie world of brick and marble that feels thousands of miles away from the honking taxis just a few feet above you. The vaults belong to families like the Delmonicos and the Durham family who helped build the city into the powerhouse that it is today. What if your morning commute involved driving your car into a literal mountain to get to your office? Welcome to SubTropolis, the world's largest underground business complex. Located 150 feet below the surface of Kansas City, this city was created by mining a 270 million-year-old limestone deposit. It is massive, spanning over 55 25 million square feet, with miles of paved roads wide enough for semi-trucks to pass by each other. Because the temperature is a constant natural 65 to 70 degrees, it is the perfect place for companies to store things. The US Postal Service stores millions of stamps here, and the National Archives keeps original film reels of Hollywood classics like The Wizard of Oz. Over 1,600 people go to work here every day in an environment that is completely immune to the Midwestern tornadoes and blizzards happening on the surface. One man, a pickaxe, and 40 years of digging created a Mediterranean resort beneath the California desert. Baldassare Forestiere was a Sicilian immigrant who moved to Fresno in 1901 to grow citrus. However, he found the Fresno heat unbearable and the soil too hard for traditional farming, so he started digging. Over the next 4 decades, he excavated a massive home and garden complex spanning 10 acres, all underground. It's an architectural masterpiece with skylights that allow fruit trees like lemons and oranges to grow 20 feet below the surface. He built bedrooms, a kitchen, and even a fish pond. He used no blueprints, just his imagination and his hands. The design allows for natural airflow, keeping the gardens 20 degrees cooler than the surface. It's a stunning example of how one man's desire for comfort created a subterranean paradise. In Atlanta, there's a place where the 19th century literally lives underneath the 20th century. Atlanta raised its streets in the 1920s to build viaducts over the congested railroad tracks. This created a city beneath the city where the original ground level storefronts were suddenly in the dark. For years, these spaces were used for storage or forgotten entirely. Until the late 1960s, it was rediscovered and turned into a massive entertainment district called Underground Atlanta. While it has seen its ups and downs as a mall, the historical architecture remains. You can still see the original ironwork and ornate facades of the 1800s businesses that were once the heartbeat of the city. It's a strange, sprawling labyrinth that serves as a bridge between Atlanta's Civil War era past and its modern skyscrapers. 650 feet below the Kansas wheat fields lies a city of salt that is so massive it has its own railroad and a vault containing the world's most famous secrets. Strataca is a massive salt mine that began operations in 1923. Over a century of mining has created hundreds of miles of tunnels. The air there is incredibly dry and the temperature is constant, which makes it one of the most secure storage facilities on the planet. Deep within the mine, a company called Underground Vaults and Storage keeps some of the world's most valuable treasures. We're talking about the original masters of Star Wars, the glass slippers from The Wizard of Oz, and even secret government documents. Because the salt creates a natural envelope, nothing ever rots or decays. There is an entire infrastructure down there, including a tram system and a gallery that shows what life was like for the miners who spent their lives in the white darkness. These caves have seen everything from 19th century mushroom farmers to 1930s gangsters hiding from the FBI. Carved into the soft sandstone of St. Paul, these caves were originally used to grow mushrooms because of the damp, cool environment. But during Prohibition, they took on a much more spirited life. They were converted into an underground nightclub called the Castle Royal. Legend and police records suggest that this was a favorite hangout for notorious gangsters like John Dillinger and Ma Barker. Local stories even claim that 3 gangsters were taken right inside the caves, and their bodies were supposedly buried behind the sandstone walls to avoid police detection. Today, it's one of the few places where you can still visit a real Prohibition-era speakeasy that exists exactly as it did when the jazz was loud and the liquor was illegal. Located inside a 1,000-acre former limestone mine, this is the most secure underground city in the world, and you aren't invited. Iron Mountain is the gold standard of underground storage. This facility is located 220 feet underground and is protected by armed guards and a 12-ton gate. It is not just a storage unit, it's a city with its own fire department, water purification system, and backup generators. What's inside, you ask? The Corbis Photographic Collection, which includes some of the most famous images in human history and the Social Security Administration's records. They even have a massive data center that powers a huge chunk of the internet. It is so deep and so reinforced that it is considered one of the most likely places to survive a global catastrophe. It is the ultimate library of human civilization tucked away in the dark of Pennsylvania. It is wild to think that while we're all worrying about traffic and the weather, that there are people working in salt mines, tourists walking through Victorian basements, and billions of dollars of data sitting in limestone fortresses right beneath our feet. America is a lot deeper than it looks on the surface. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which one of these underground cities would you actually want to visit? Or better yet, do you know of any in your hometown that I might have missed? For now, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and I'll see you on the next one.